Well, friends, Father Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life, here back in my office in Titusville, Florida. I'm going to walk around with you a little bit here for a few minutes. Back from the March for Life and the Walk for Life. I want to give you a daily diary segment and just chat with you informally for a little bit about the many things going on in these days. Such a wonderful time for our pro-life movement. Let's see, I got my calendar here in my hand, got back last night and am settling in here from the big events of this past week, getting ready for continued big events all during this month of February. Again, we're here at our national headquarters in Titusville. And I want to update you about what took place in Washington and also in San Francisco. But first, let me take you back a little bit. I don't remember if I, from my last daily diary, told you about my trip to Tennessee with Mike Huckabee. I was on the Huckabee Show, taped it on Tuesday the 14th. Alvita and I were on a segment together. Mike Huckabee has been a friend for years, and we really admire what he's doing. He really loves our work here at Priests for Life and the work Alvita and I do together. So we went there on the 14th and taped with him. The segment aired last weekend. I hope you saw it. Then came back January 15th, had a webcast with Teresa Tomeo as soon as I got back, preparing people for the March for Life and the Walk for Life. Had radio interviews the rest of that day and night, and a webcast that night at 9 o'clock with our friend Walter Hoy, whom I also saw in San Francisco just day before yesterday. Next day was Religious Freedom Day. Had a lot of radio interviews and meetings with my staff, final preparations for the March for Life on the 16th and 17th. And all through the weekend on the 18th, on the night of the 19th, went up to New York, had a little visit with my parents, took down our Christmas tree actually, up at my parents' house on the night of the 19th, was with them a little bit on the morning of the 20th. Went to D.C. on the 20th then and had meetings in the afternoon and a leaders reception at night. Quarterly, we host meetings of the National Pro-Life Leaders, and that was Monday night, the 20th. All day Tuesday was a leadership meeting that I coordinate with the National Pro-Life Leaders, and we had that in Washington, mutual updating, various guests coming in to talk to us. We did a live broadcast, as you may have seen, urging people to get registered to vote and to vote pro-life. I did various interviews during the course of the day and had a conference call with the Trump campaign because we were getting ready for the announcement, which was made on Friday, of pro-life voices for Trump. Now, I'm going to be talking to you a lot about that in the coming weeks. But check out prolifevoices.donaldjtrump.com. DonaldJTrump.com is his campaign website. Prolifevoices.donaldjtrump.com is where you can lend your voice of support for the most pro-life president in our history. We'll talk a lot more about that in the coming days. Hold on a second. Let me get a message off my phone here. Okay. So then the next day was the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, Wednesday, January the 22nd. The day started early with various interviews and broadcasts, and then I went over to the Longworth Congressional House Office Building for a press conference with some of my pro-life colleagues. Some of them then went in and protested at the office of one of the most despicable pro-abortion, fake Catholic legislators that has ever served, I should say, had the misfortune of being in public office, because it's harming her soul, not helping it. And that is Nancy Pelosi. I was just in her ugly, dirty district over there in San Francisco. What a failure. What a failure she is. And so some of our colleagues went in and protested at her office, that fake Catholic. And it's about time some of us who dress like I do open our mouths about that. And so we from there went to our Washington, D.C. office, got some things ready there for the prayer service that we held on Friday, the day of the March for Life. From there, actually went back to the Supreme Court and had a 2 o'clock rally. 3,000 roses were laid out in front of the Supreme Court, representing 3,000 murders every day of children in the womb. Again, you think about the hypocrisy of these politicians. They stand up and they'll shed tears and they'll cry prayers about murder. Oh my goodness, how terrible it is when people in our country murder each other. And meanwhile, the blood is on their hands for the worst Holocaust of human history. These Democrat hypocrites serving in public office who really don't belong in public office because they can't tell the difference between serving the public and killing the public. But we'll get to that more later in all the different broadcasts that we have coming up, where we are going to call them to task like never before, and I'm sure that many of you are going to join us in doing that. But we had a beautiful rally in front of the Supreme Court, various speeches. I gave an address there, and then we had some other interviews, some meetings with leaders. I went to a meeting over at Americans United for Life. Some of our friends that were at that meeting, I'm sure, are joining us here. We did some planning for the Supreme Court case, oral arguments that are being prepared for in this case coming out of Louisiana, big abortion case at the Supreme Court. Then at night, we went back to the Supreme Court and we had a candlelight vigil. It was so well done. Again, it was we aired it on these channels. And that was an evening event at the Supreme Court. Big Planned Parenthood rally the next morning on Thursday the 23rd. Again, we broadcasted it here. From there, we went over to the Renaissance Hotel, took part in networking. We had our exhibit booth. I met a lot of you who were there. And we just did all that for some hours to intersperse with some other interviews before we went to the Basilica. The National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception, greeted people as they were coming in for Mass, and had other networking and leaders meetings that night. The March for Life was on Friday. The President was there. I started the day by leading the National Prayer Service, gave a sermon about the importance of the elections of 2020, and then went to see the President, and he arrived at the March for Life, gave a great address. We marched. We did the Silent No More gathering. There were some despicable pro-aborts there who, when we were standing in front of the steps of the Supreme Court, as we do every year, we have a little podium there. We have the women who are part of the campaign who say, I regret my abortion, the men who say, I regret lost fatherhood, and they come there to this event to share their experiences. And there were some pro-aborts there who came right up to our platform and stood in front of it, yelling and screaming, and wouldn't get out of the way, trying to disrupt the gathering. They didn't succeed. They really don't know how to succeed in anything. They're so despicable and shallow-minded. They have no conscience. Their heart is corrupt. But there they were in all their ugliness, yelling and shouting in favor of women, and meanwhile disrespecting the women who were there, who bought the fake and destructive product that they sell, namely abortion. And we're there to tell the world how destructive, in fact, it is. And these people didn't want to listen to them, but we had more powerful microphones and speakers than they did. All they had was their throats filled with lies from the pit of hell. And there they were, and eventually they got tired, as I predicted they would. We just went on with giving the testimony, saying the prayers, singing the songs, getting the cheers of the crowd. Some of you were there. And we had a successful rally there. Then I flew to San Francisco. So we had some of our team coming with me that night. We flew to San Francisco Friday night, and Saturday morning, there we were in San Francisco at the Planned Parenthood. Then we went over to the cathedral. I greeted people as they arrived for Mass. Then I went over to the Civic Center Plaza, set up for voter registration, as well as for the Silent No More rally. We did the Silent No More rally there in San Francisco. I'm going to bring you into my hallway here. I want to show you a little bit about where I live here. And we had people give testimonies about their abortion. I spoke to the crowd. We handed out the election prayer card, seeelectionprayer.com. And to the thousands and thousands of people on the Civic Center Plaza, there were actually tens of thousands of them. I gave one of the main speeches at that rally for the Walk for Life West Coast. We had voter registration going on, which was something that we arranged together with the organizers of the walk, and we're so grateful for them allowing that. And then we walked. We walked through the streets of San Francisco. We gave witness to life. Tens of thousands of people. There must have been 60 or 70,000. And then I greeted so many people there. Maybe some of you were there with us, and you saw what a wonderful event that was. leaders meeting, dinner in the evening with the organizers, and then flew back yesterday morning. Did some work on the plane, and settling in here to my office when I get back. Now, my office, I really love this place because it's not only my office, it's my home. I live here. Let me show you. I'm going to turn the camera around just for a second. I just walked outside my office, and you're going to see I tend to be a neat person, but I'm actually still unpacking. We moved down here just 2 years ago, but we have so many things, and these are, of course, some of the archive files that we're still setting up some of the filing rooms. And then I actually just camp out right here, nothing fancy. Not going to even show it to you here for just a second. Yeah, so I just stay here in this bedroom here, connected right to my office. It's as simple as that. And a little desk there. And go around this way. We're still organizing these boxes and everything. I mean, you travel so much. And by the way, you talk about fake news. I just had I got a little kitchen area here. But you talk about fake news. I realize there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that I travel and come for speaking engagements, and that's kind of strange because it's kind of most of what I do. And so you want me to come and speak to your local group. I'm on the road like 80% of the time. You want Alvita King to come. She's part of our team. Janet Morana, Father Dennis Wild, our associate director, Brian Kemper, our youth outreach director, Kevin Burke of Rachel's Vineyard, Teresa Burke, co-founder of Rachel's Vineyard, and various other members of our team. We travel and speak all the time. So priestforlife.org/speakers is where you can see our different speakers, and you can invite me and these others to come. We preach in parishes, we speak at prayer vigils, schools, pro-life conventions, pregnancy center banquets, media opportunities, all kinds of other things. We speak, we travel all the time. So here now I'm settling back into my office. We have got so many things to tell you, share with you, and launch in these coming weeks. It's unbelievable. We are inviting, and we have invited, the national pro-life leaders to come back here for a summit meeting, Pro-Life Leadership Summit. We've had 3 of those meetings here, or actually, yes, 3 of those meetings here already at our headquarters. We'll be having the 4th one in just a few weeks, and we'll be telling you a lot about that, because I know you want us who are national leaders to be working together. You want the various different pro-life groups to be collaborating. And I can tell you we are doing that. There's a lot more collaboration that goes on behind the scenes than you hear about. But we are collaborating. We are strategizing. We are hitting the nail on the head to figure out what has to be done next to bring an end to abortion. And praise God, I praise God every day for the opportunity I have to devote myself full-time to that. It's a permanent, irrevocable commitment that I've made. Like the song says, I have decided to follow Jesus, no turning back, no turning back. And so many of us are able to say, I have decided to fight abortion, no turning back, no turning back. There is one circumstance and one circumstance only under which we will reduce our time and effort in bringing an end to this Holocaust, and that's when the Holocaust is finished. Until then, there's going to be no changing of our tune, no backing down of our efforts, no shortening of our time, no diminishing of our commitment, no turning back, no turning back. This evil is going to end, and I'm so glad that you're here in the battle with us. I am fired up, as you can tell, from the events of these last several days. This is a movement that is on the winning track. What a wonderful thing that we had our president with us at that March for Life. It's a sign of his complete commitment to this cause. I can tell you that it is a deep, personal, strong commitment, clear commitment to ending abortion, protecting every baby. Our president shares that. That brought him out to join us at that March for Life. And I can tell you that it's also a sign of how our movement has grown in respect, grown in influence, and this pro-life movement represents the fact that the United States of America is becoming more and more pro-life, and that's not going to change either. God bless you, friends. Father Frank Pavone here of Priests for Life, speaking to you from our national headquarters here in Titusville, Florida, and I will talk to you soon.